Hey guys, Colleen here, DIYer behind LemonThistle.com, and today I am excited to be back with a beginner Cricut tutorial, and this time I'm not talking about the machine, I'm talking about Cricut Design Space. Cricut Design Space is the design software on your computer, phone, mobile, whichever, that you need to use to get the modern Cricuts cutting your designs or drawing them, whatever you want to do with it. For this video, I've partnered with my friend Alexis from Persialoo for another Silhouette vs. Cricut video. So in this series, we are just kind of matching up the Cricut and the Silhouette and what they offer. I do a tutorial and a run through on Cricut, and Alexis does one for a Silhouette. So she's talking all about the Silhouette design software, an introduction in her video today. So I will link that below. So you can pop over there and check it out. But for us, we're doing an introduction to Cricut Design Space. We are walking through all of the different buttons that you can kind of click and press and tweak things, and I will also link some other videos for further information on certain things like uploading your own designs as well. Okay, before we go to screen share and dig in, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I would love if you did that below so you don't miss out on any more DIY or home decor videos. All right, when you open up Cricut Design Space, this is what you see here. I'm already logged in, but if you weren't logged in, you would have to log in at the top. Now, Cricut Design Space is a downloadable program, so you can technically use it when you're offline, but honestly I haven't tested that out because I am always online. I'm always at home. On this homepage here, you can find all of your projects that you've made before. These are ones that I have made and uploaded to Cricut Design Space for other people to do. And then you can see all your projects by hitting View All right here. And then down below that, you get into all the different projects. So they've gone and they've grouped them over what's popular or what's trending, whichever. So cards, onesies, whatever. If you want to find something, you can click View All here and you can search projects. So right now, like by clicking that, I'm looking at great projects for beginners. But if I go to all categories, I can see all the projects, and you guys, there are so many. So you could search them. So if you wanted to do a birthday card, like this is super cute. My kids would love that. So you could do birthday cards. You can search for anything here. So what I typically do is I click New Project here. And then instead of adding a whole project, which you can still do from this right here, I like to add in individual pieces of designs to my project and make my own. So a couple things I wanted to point out. Before you get started in Cricut Design Space, you do need to set up your machine. So you could click New Machine here. New product setup, and so you would click it and you'd go through their process. It's very straightforward. You can also change your Cricut Design Space to format according to the machine that you have. So why this is important is not necessarily for these bigger machines, but the Cricut Joy is a mini machine. So when you're adding things, it can only be up to, I think it's like 6 inches wide. And so if you click this, then it's going to flag for you what it is not able to cut. It also won't let you choose like wood for your material because only the Cricut Maker can cut that. Okay, so like I said, you can see all of your projects here. So I'm going to go to a new canvas here. I'm going to change it back to my Cricut Maker, and let's get looking at all of these buttons here. So the first thing I'm going to point out is templates. This isn't something that I typically use, but if you wanted to be able to visualize what you're making, you could put in a template here. Now the template isn't something that you're going to cut out. It kind of automatically sizes it. So you can see it in the background here. It's not something you can move around. It's just to help you visualize your project. So you can go in here and you can turn that off right down here. Okay, so let's start down this side here, and we're going to kind of look at all the different options on this left panel here. And then this panel over here is the layers panel. And as we add stuff in and we go to edit those files, that's where this becomes really valuable. So here, we've looked at templates, we've looked at projects. Again, this is where you can go and you can search for whole projects that you want to make. And actually, let's just show you what this looks like here. So if you look at a project here, you can look at different pictures of it, you can look at the design, and you can say, yes, I want to make it. You can say make it, and it goes directly to where you would cut it. If you want to change the sizes or tweak anything really, then you want to click customize here. So then it will pull it into here, and you can go ahead and you can edit things. So say, for example, you wanted this to be black, so it's all cut out of the same material. You can do that, and then you can click make it. So you can go ahead and you can use the projects. You can also edit them. So let's go back to a new canvas here. All right, so images is just like projects. It is the things that have been added to Cricut Design Space by Cricut that you can use for your project. Let's say that we want to go with something unicorn themed, like that backpack, but we don't want a pre-made project. We want to make our own. Perhaps we want to make a pennant. This is super cute. Or we want to make a t-shirt. We can kind of choose any one of these. So I'm going to go ahead and first I'm going to choose this one. Now you can hit the eye here to get the image information, and you can click this view image sets to see more files like this one, which is pretty awesome. So you can see this one here has all these different colors, which is super beautiful. I love the colors in this one. So let's maybe click this one. Now I want to point out this little A at the top here. Cricut Design Space has images that are free to use. It has images that you can pay to use. Now, Cricut Access is what this means, and that's a subscription program. It's kind of like when you subscribe to Netflix, you get access to all of their movies. And so Cricut Access is pretty affordable, and it gets you into all of these images. So you can see down here the ones that I've selected, and I could delete the ones that I don't want to add in. Let me add those in, and then I'm going to come back into here and show you how else you can filter searching for images. So I'm just going to zoom out here, move these apart so you can see how there's the colorful one and there's the plain one. So let's go back into images. And so we're back to searching for unicorn here. Now you can click ownership here. They've made it really easy to search for Cricut Access. That's something that they feature. But you can also click here and you can say, I only want free images. So these images are all free to use with your Cricut, whether or not you've subscribed to Cricut Design Space. And I mean, there is substantially less, but there is still definitely free images. So if you click free, there's almost 8,000 free images. It's just a matter if those are what you're looking for or not. So there's some best teacher ever. Like there's lots of things that you can make with the free stuff. Okay, so that's free images, the different images that you can use. The other thing that I want to point out is this layers here. So you can choose to get a single layer pattern, or you can choose to get a multi-layer pattern. Now a single layer pattern is one that this is the only cut. You just cut this out. Now, a multi-layer pattern means that you're going to have to cut it out on multiple colors. So you would cut out this turquoise behind here, and you would cut out the darker kind of teal on top. So it's got 2 layers, so it's a little bit more complicated to make than the single layer patterns. Now, the other one that I want to point out here is operation type. So you can look for cut-only images, and that's typically what I use my Cricut for. Is for cut-only images. And you can see there's almost 200,000 images. So you would want to maybe look for, let's say, unicorn. So these images here are designed to just cut them. Now there's some images that are designed to draw. So these draw ones, you can't change to cut files. The lines are too thin. Whereas if you look here, you could go ahead and you could change this to draw. See, and it outlines it. The one that I like to kind of weed out is these print then cut ones, because they do have variations in colors here. These aren't vinyl colors, and these are all one layer. So if I click on this unicorn here thinking, okay, the purple tail is going to be a different layer than the blue, it's not. See, that's all one layer. So you have to feed your printable vinyl or your cardstock or whatever you're going to use through your printer first to print this design, and then you can cut it out. Now I do have a full video on print then cut. It's for printable vinyl specifically, but I will link that below if you'd like to learn about the print then cut feature. It's not one that I use a lot, and I am just gonna mostly leave it out of this video here. But you can see right here, the operation is print then cut. And if I go and I make it just a basic cut, do you see how all that detail disappears? It's just one layer. All right, let's delete that and go back into images. Cut then draw is of course just a combination of using that draw pen and the cut images. So the pink line around the edge here is the cut line, and then the black, that's the pen drawing on top of what was cut. Okay, so say that you look through all of these designs and you cannot find what you're looking for. You can also go on, say, Etsy or different websites, and you can purchase your own designs, or you could design your own. I typically design my own designs, and you can upload them here yourself. So to do that, it's all the way down at the bottom here. It's not right by images. You can go upload, and these are all the ones that I've uploaded. So these are my hand lettering, and you can see all your uploads here. It only shows you like the last 12. So you can either upload it there, or you can find the ones you've already uploaded under images, uploaded. So you can see all the ones that I've done here. So when you upload your own, like I've done here, there's a few different things that you can do. So this one here I uploaded as a drawn design and I put the white behind it. So this is a print then cut image like we were talking about. So my printer is going to print the detail on these trees and then the Cricut is going to cut around that white edge. And so if I go and I change it to just cut only, see all that detail disappears. So you can do that. If you upload a PNG with a translucent background, you can see that here. There's nothing in here. It's going to cut this out. So that's definitely an option. If I were to have uploaded this as a print then cut image or as a JPEG with this being white, this would all be one solid surface. And then when you turn it to cut, it just would show up with no detail on the inside. So that's one problem that people run into. This one here was uploaded as an SVG. So this is one that I took the time to make multiple layers to before uploading it to Cricut Design Space. So if you are shopping for multiple layer images, you want to look for clean SVG cuts. So that's what this is here. And then you can turn off individual layers. Do you see that? So I do have a full video about the difference between SVG, PNG, JPEGs, and how to upload your own images. I'll show you really briefly. You just click here again, you go upload, upload image. You browse, you pick your image. So say I choose this Happy Mother's Day one. And now this is a PNG image with a translucent background. So there's nothing there anyways, so I can just click simple and upload it. If you have a more complicated image, definitely go watch that other video that I have. It goes into a lot more detail on how you can kind of tweak your own images, what you need to add, and that sort of thing. Here you want to choose cut image only. We're not going to print that and then cut it out. We're just going to cut it out. And you could name it so that it's easier for you to search for. If you happen to do a lot of uploads, then it's easier for you to find your things. Okay, so then it's uploaded and it's here and you can click insert image. So that's how you upload your own. Pattern fill is a little bit different and I do go into that in my print then cut video and I believe in my how to upload your own images to Cricut Design Space. But this would be a pattern that you would print into a space. I have some already uploaded. So let me just show you. So this guy here, if we turn this off, I will fill that with a pattern. So I'm going to change it to print then cut. And then when it comes to here, I can go and I can change it to a pattern. And so these are patterns that Cricut Design Space has that we can use. So you can see that here. Or you could upload your own pattern. So this is one that I have uploaded, this floral one. It's one that I'd purchased from another site. So you can see that there. It's kind of a watercolor. So then you could use print then cut. Okay, next up here is text. I do have a full video again about Cricut Design Space text, but you just click text like any other. Add your text here. Like any other design software, you add your text and then all of the options for what you've selected, which is your text here, show up right here and you can change them. So you can change the font. And again, like the images, there is fonts that are Cricut Access, there is fonts that are free, and there is your own fonts. So fonts from your own system. So you can filter them here. So there are lots of options for fonts, but like I said, I have a full video about that. So I'm going to kind of skip over the fonts here and focus on the rest of the buttons and things that you can do within Cricut Design Space. One of the downfalls that I talk about in my Cricut Design Space fonts video is the spacing of fonts, but that's something that they have really improved since their last update. So you can see how beautiful that looks here. But if you zoom in right here, you can see that there is still cut lines between these. So to get rid of those, and again, this is new since the newest update, you would want to weld these into an image. So this is no longer a text block, this is now an image. And that gets rid of those there. So when you're happy with how you have edited your font and made it look, then you can click that weld button and turn it into an image to get rid of those in between cuts. Okay, so that's text. Now on to shapes. Shapes are just your basic, simple ones here, but this is what I use quite often when I'm trying to make my own designs. So that's where shapes come in handy. You've got a score line in here too. So if you're making a card and you want it to be folded, you can add that score line in. And then when you go to cut, it will be another step in the same way that cut and draw is, where it says, okay, load your blade. And then when it's done that, it'll flash and it'll tell you, okay, load your scoring pen. Then it'll flash and it'll tell you, okay, load your pen. So it can do multiple things at once. And so that's how you add a scoring line manually to a project. Okay, so that is this panel here. You might have noticed that all these options up here, these are options for whatever layer you have selected. So again, we've already changed from basic cut to draw and back and print then cut. You can also use these functions here. Select all just selects everything on your canvas here. Edit gives you the copy, cut, paste. Offset is a really cool one. Offset is new again. So let me go and I'm going to take this, ungroup these so I can just take this one layer. Okay, so now offset here. Do you see how it's put that white line around it? Let me zoom right in so you can see really better. So if I click here and then if I go offset, do you see how it's put that line around it? And we can make the distance that it cuts away from the design bigger or smaller. And you can make it have hard angles, or you can make it have nice and smooth angles. And then we click apply. And now all of a sudden, look at, there's a layer behind it that wasn't there before. How cool is that? So this is an awesome function. I'm so excited about this new one. Now notice I just moved this and then this stayed behind. And so now when I'm trying to put it back on, like, oh, it's not center. I can't get it to center. So if you use that offset function or you've got things lined up perfectly and you want them to stay together, you can select both by dragging like this, and then you can click group. And now when you move them around, they will move together. Next, we've got arrange, so send forward, move backwards, usual design program stuff. You can also flip horizontal or vertical. And then under more here, you can move the position of your item just like tiny little bits over using these options, or rotate it. I mean, you also have the options to do that this way. This is just more finicky. And of course, change the size of it. I really like that it does show the size of all the edges here, but if you knew specifically exactly what size you wanted something to be, this is a faster way to get from a really large file that you've uploaded down to the right 2.5-inch size. So that's these top options here. Let's go over to this layers panel. Now this layers panel here works a lot like Photoshop if you've used Photoshop before. And so you can press these little arrows here and close up your layer groups, or vice versa, you can make your own groups. So you can select multiple layers and you can say group those. And then see, now they're in a group and you can close that up. Okay, so the other things you'll notice here is these little eyes, that makes it disappear and turns it back on. It's the same as like hiding a layer so that when you go to cut, it's not going to show up. You can also duplicate here instead of going into edit and duplicating. The other things that you can do down at the bottom here are a little bit more complicated. So if you select both, you can group, and you've seen what that does. It just keeps them together while you're designing. But when you go to, let me just turn everything else off actually, just to make this really clear. So now when we go to make it, even though those are grouped together, you can see they're on different mats because they're different colors. They need to be cut out of different materials. Okay, so now we're going to instead try attaching them. So when I attach them, they get the same colors. They're all part of one image. And when I go make it, they are one on top of each other like that. Now, this obviously isn't what you want to use that for. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to detach it. And I'm going to change this layer back to black. Where this comes in really handy is if I go to shapes, let's just choose a circle to be easy, and we will write, say that you want to label some things for school. You can put the name in here, and you can select both of these, and you can either choose slice, which we've already gone over, which cuts the one out of the other. So then this is the one that you'd be left with. Or if you don't want to change that circle, you want to keep it whole, or you could use the attach function, and that will move these around. They are attached. You can unattach them just as easy. You can't unslice something. Then when you hit make it, those will cut one on top of each other on the mats here. You can see that here. Back to this, that's attach, group. Now flatten just means it's going to turn it all into one image. So now it's a print then cut. So you flatten those two colors together, that's all one image is going to be print then cut. So flatten is great if you have kind of a complicated project and you just want to speed through it and you'd rather do print then cut. You can take one of those Cricut Design Space images that have multiple layers of tiny little cutouts, and you don't want to spend all your time weeding the multiple layers of vinyl, and then you can just flatten it and print and cut it. It works pretty good. Next up is Weld. So Weld is going to actually make it all one image, and it gets rid of any lines. Okay, Weld and Slice I'm going to show you how to use by making a railroad sign here. This is one that I made years ago. I get lots of questions about it, and while it is available under projects because I've uploaded it for you guys to use, I'll show you how I made it, just using shapes, and then I added text to it. So we're gonna unlock the proportions and make it into almost a line. We will angle it. We're gonna center them on each other, just like that. So I'm gonna angle this. I'm gonna copy paste this, make it a little bit smaller. So it's about the same thickness. How thick do we want it to be? And this, again, I think I did a better job before, but I'm using all free stuff to make what I want. So say that's how I want my railroad topper to work. I can only slice 2 at a time. So first I'm gonna make my ring, and I will delete this, that will delete this, and I'm going to duplicate this. And then I can go ahead and I can weld this and turn it into a railroad crossing. I don't need to worry about the rights on these images because this is a shape that I've made into an image. Okay, next I want to show you this contour one. So we've got this multicolor thing here. Now, say for example, we wanted to get rid of some of those lines, don't want like these diamonds. We're like, man, we don't really like diamonds. We can click on this and we have to go to the individual layers. Then you can click contour. And so what contour does is it gives you all of the cuts that it's going to be making, and you can either click them on here and say, get rid of those diamonds. But do you see how each of these individual cut lines is its own thing? You can turn them off that way. And you can zoom in so you can get like really detailed on this if you want to. See how they kind of go grayed out when you click on them? You can also do it here, and you can turn them off by clicking in this is like the layers panel, and it will turn off all those shapes for you. So you can tell which ones you want to get rid of. Similarly, if you only wanted to leave one of this color cut on, you could click hide all contours and it would hide them all, and then you could turn back on the 1 or 2 that you wanted to keep. These are the little lines around the diamond. The other time that this hide contour tool is really great is if you are doing a detailed image but you want to do it really small. So sometimes when you make images much smaller, they just get so tiny that your cuts are just like tiny little cuts and not able to weed out super itty bitty cuts. So if you are noticing that and you want to turn off some of those really tiny details, you could totally do that as well. So here we're just turning off the diamonds. And actually this time let's go hide all contours, and then I'll show you how we can turn back on the ones we want. So we want to keep the swirl, we like the stars, keep the swirl, let's keep the star. See how much faster that was to do it that way? And when I close out, all those blue diamonds are gone. Okay, say we're happy with that. The other thing I want to show you is how you can change the colors of your design. So you can take your layer and you can change the color here very easily. The other thing that you can do is you can go over to the color sync panel here, and you can drag the layers if you want to make them all one color so they're all on the same mat. It's very simple to drag things around. So I like to do this when I've uploaded a bunch of designs and I want to cut them all out in black. Okay, so once we go to make it, I want to show you something. So you notice these are all still different layers, even though they are the same colors. So this one here is print then cut. We can ignore that. Let's go down here. Look at this. All the layers, even though they're the same colors, have separated. And so then afterwards, I would have to kind of like try and find the right spot to put those little things, and I'd have to put it together myself. And that's a pain in the butt. Do you see that? So we're spreading all this design out onto 3 mats. So this is where attach, group, weld, any of those options really make it easier to cut something in the exact layout that you want it. Okay, so we have welded it. And so now you see it's all one piece. Okay, so I'm gonna go back in and I want to show you with these sweet candies. So now I'm gonna make those candies, and you can see I've got all the black ones on the black color, and then I've got all these different colors. So say I'm like, no, I want all the background colors to be the same. I can click over here. Instead of changing the color in the design, I can move the object to the mat that I want it on. Now it's over here and I can drag it around. I can rotate it. And this is really great if you are doing a big project with lots of pieces and you want to use less material. You can move things around so that it uses significantly less material than what naturally Cricut Design Space would suggest for you. Cricut Design Space goes with what is easy. See, so now we've eliminated these 2 mats and we're only using this much material instead of chunks of material from all 3 different mats. Now, at this point, you can change your material size. You can go on the longer mats, the 12 by 24 if you wanted, or you can mirror it. Mirroring it is for iron-on vinyl, so you can see it switches it. Then when you go to continue here, you're able to select your material. Okay, and then of course you could save this project and you could come back and work on it later. All right, so that is an overview of Cricut Design Space, an introduction to what all of those little buttons can do for you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you feel a little bit more comfortable with Cricut Design Space. If you are looking for silhouette design software, you can click on Alexis's video. I've linked that down below, and she goes through an introduction to the Silhouette program. Before you go, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I would so love if you did that below so you don't miss out on any more DIY or home decor videos, and give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. We'll see you next time.